I have a cat on my lap, but he's very restless right now. Kitten. Kitten. I guess I'm filming this video with a cat on my lap. Hi, bud. How are you? Hi. It's very hard to concentrate with this cat on my lap. I'm Jacqueline. I spilled on myself like 8 times today while trying to eat lunch. And I'm still wearing the dress that I was wearing when I spilled on myself, and in fact, you can fucking see it. Spilling even once, let alone the amount of times that I did today, initiated a awful guilt spiral in me, and I wanted to talk about it. In fact, this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. If perhaps you are anything like me, you may experience guilt and just absolute fear and self-loathing anytime life happens to you. And it's probably, and I know for sure in my case, it's probably because of some stuff that repeatedly went down in childhood. And you may not even be aware that this is what's causing this thing in you. All that happens is you spill on yourself and you're like, oh my God, I'm a shit human being. And you may not even have too much of a conscious thought around it. You just have these bad feelings that come up. Like your stomach might sink. You might feel a flush in your cheeks because you're embarrassed, because you feel like your inability to deliver soup from the spoon into your mouth with any relative ease is somehow a reflection on your character. I want to take it a step from spilling shit on yourself to something like accidental injury. Because it's basically the same thing. So, my husband and I moved into our home about 4 years ago now. And the thing about this neighborhood is that it's extremely hilly. Like, there are slopes on at least half the streets in the neighborhood. And in fact, there's a pretty steep incline on the street that I have to take to go and catch the bus. And winter is a bitch where we live. Winter is so long and so cold and incredibly icy. And so you better fucking believe that the hills get really icy and treacherous to walk in the winter. And in the first year that we lived here, I fell down more times than I had in the last decade of my life. And every time I would biff it on the hill and end up on my ass, this cold chill would run up my spine, and I would hear my parents scream, "Be careful!" But just like the times that they had yelled at me in real life, I was already on the ground by the time I heard them yell. The damage was done. And I need to stress, it's not like I wasn't being careful. I fucking penguin walk down that hill every year, several times. Anytime there's ice, I'm like, penguin walking. But sometimes the most careful and considerate penguin walk, and in combination with the sturdiest winter boots that I could find, and they fit. They're the sturdiest motherfucking winter boots. Even with those precautions, sometimes I still fall. And still, I felt like I had done something wrong. That landing on my ass on the hill was somehow a reflection of an innate flaw in my character. I'm not careful enough. I'm not good enough at life to prevent things from happening. And it's not even bad things. It's just a thing that happens sometimes when there's ice, and all of the carefulness in the world won't prevent you from slipping. But I still felt like I wasn't good enough because this thing happened to me. It's not like I was eating my soup with absolute abandon today. For whatever reason, my hand wasn't all that steady when maneuvering the spoon. It's not like I was trying to splash all the shit around. Perhaps my hand was shaky because of muscle fatigue. I have been doing a lot of needle felting, which takes a very specific stabby motion. My hand might not be at its full capacity right now, so I'm like, whoops, accidentally spilling shit on my dress. There are plenty of factors going on at any time, at any given time, that can prevent me or you from being at full capacity. Our capacity to navigate the world ebbs and flows at any given time. Our capacity changes. I mention this because there are things in life that we cannot control. Life happens. Life will happen. Sometimes we drop glass things and they shatter. Sometimes we spill food all over ourselves. And sometimes we slip on a patch of ice on a hill. Life happens. We can't control it. We can do our best, but sometimes the things we are trying to avoid still happen. And the fact that they happen is not a reflection on the quality of our character, even though it feels like this for me. And if you're watching this video, it might feel that way for you too. If you grew up in a house like mine, the reactions of the adults in your life quickly made you believe that you were directly responsible for the things that just happen, that you were inherently careless and a terrible person who made these things happen. I wasn't ever directly told, this is your fault. Maybe I was. Maybe once or twice. But the majority of the time, it was in the reactions to the things that were happening. It wasn't a direct command of, you did this. It was implied. Or at least it felt like it was implied, and that's how I interpreted their reactions. Like a fall. As I mentioned, when I wiped out on the hill, I could hear my parents yelling, be careful! But like really loud, I'm not even doing it the way that I'm hearing it in my head. It is fucking intense and loud. And it was always after the fact. It was their gut reaction because they were scared that I could hurt myself, that maybe I did hurt myself. And that was like the knee-jerk reaction to yell at me. I'm not saying that being worried that your kid is hurting themselves is an unreasonable concern. That's not what I'm saying here. However, the way it was handled was startling. They were yelling at me after I had done something that maybe doesn't warrant being yelled at. They acted as if I had done something wrong. That's how I interpreted it. And in those moments where life didn't go as planned, I was not treated with compassion. I was not taught that, hey, shit happens. Are you okay? Instead, I was shocked by the fall and then terrified because my parents' voices violently rang out at me. Any assessment of, am I okay, was overrode by, holy shit, I'm in trouble! And so now, as an adult, anytime something happens that can be perceived as wrong or undesirable, I immediately go, oh fuck man, I'm in trouble. I have watched my husband in awe more times than I can fucking count. Because this man, when he breaks a glass, or when he spills something, or when he fucking falls, he just assesses the situation, acts accordingly, and then brushes it off and keeps going about his day. And we have had so many conversations where I'm like, how can you just do that? Like, what? Do you not feel bad about that? And he's like, what the fuck? Why would I feel bad about myself for something that I can't control? And it's such a foreign fucking thing to me because that is my default mode of operation. I automatically feel like this was somehow my fault and I need to feel bad that something happened. So by observing that man, I know that it's possible to live a life where you don't take the things that happen to you and around you as a personal failure. And I'm getting better at it because I have the ability to examine my reactions, and I have the awareness to look at like what's going on and detangle all of the things that are happening emotionally, physically, mentally when things happen. Like on the hill, I was able to be like, why do I feel so bad? And I traced it back to like hearing my parents' voices yelling at me. What I've done is I've paid attention to the times that I react like this, even today with the spilling of my soup. And I examine it and I'm like, why do I feel so bad? Oh, it's because I am trying to take responsibility for a thing that is actually not a reflection of me. And so that I'm able to take a moment and recognize that I was doing my best that I could in that moment. And that's what counts. If you're like me, I'm telling you this story so that perhaps you can start reminding yourself of that too. That life happens. Sometimes you spill ramen on yourself, and sometimes it happens 8 times during a meal. Sometimes you fall on a hill, and sometimes we break a glass. And it's okay. It's not a reflection of something innately flawed within our character. It's not a reflection of us not being capable of being careful enough. It doesn't mean that we are bad or that we should feel bad. It's just that life happens. And you know what the secret is? We can't control shit in life. The only thing that we can control is how we deal with it and how we react and how we think about things. So next time something happens, like you fall down a hill, notice how you react. Notice where it comes up in your body. Notice if there's like a tightening in your stomach. Notice if your breath shortens, and notice if you feel panic. And start really looking into that. So where is this coming from? Is it because I feel bad that I'm now in trouble because I couldn't control my environment? And next time this happens, I want you to notice what's going on and then say, hey, we don't have to do this. I don't have to go down this self-loathing road and feel bad because I slipped. I don't have to berate myself because I slipped on a hill. I don't have to berate myself that I spilled some fucking soup on my dress. Take a beat, take a breath, take a beat, and give yourself a break. Cry if your ankle hurts and that feels like the most natural thing for you to do in this moment. And don't let yourself feel bad about it. That's a natural, crying is a natural fucking physiological response when we injure ourselves. It just happens. Let it happen. Don't feel bad about it. Take that beat and give yourself a break. You deserve a break. You just fell down a hill. You just fucking put some shit on your dress. Go get changed. Act accordingly. Baby your ankle. Bandage it up. Do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself when things happen. Don't be mean to you, because you don't deserve that. Even if you were conditioned to think that you deserve that, you don't. So pay attention to how you react when things don't go as planned, when we can't control things. And be kind to you. Sending you love, friends.